Syrup. All right, good morning, guys. Hi, it is Fox 5 Live right here in the DC newsroom. Live, I'm Molly Nevola here with our intern from the assignment desk, Demetra.
Hi, guys.
She's joining me today, which is awesome. So welcome to the show. It's Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday, November 16th. And like always, we are here to stream the daily live and breaking news that is going on across the nation. And here in our hometown of the DMV area, we had a big day of weather yesterday. Thank God that is pretty much over. Did you have an okay commute? How was yesterday for you?
Actually, I still had school.
Oh, yes, you are.
University of Maryland didn't close. I was honestly a little upset. I mean, because Towson closed. And then my mom teaches MCPS, and my sister is still in high school. MCPS was closed. Like, a lot of schools closed, except PG County didn't.
Right.
So I'm guessing that's why College Park didn't, but...
Yeah. Well, Demetra you're definitely in that school world, and we talk about that every year because delays, cancellations, and we're getting into that winter weather. But this weekend and this next week is supposed to be amazing for fall weather. So thank goodness. That was the first, that was a big record in November in the DMV area since 1996. So it was kind of crazy.
I wasn't even born then.
So I know. College girl over here. So Demetra is helping me out today, and she is interning. You're working. What have you been doing this semester?
So actually, I've been working on actually making a reel. So I've been shooting a lot of stand-ups. I've been going on a few field trips.
Great.
I've been spending a lot of time with Erin Como. She's awesome.
Cool.
So we've been filming and stuff. So
awesome.
That's underway.
So great. Yeah, well, we're going to track some of the top stories of today and kind of chat about them because there's a lot of interesting stuff that is happening. And as always, feel free to chat with us on the live stream. Let us know where you're watching from and what you think, and we'll kind of go through it. First of all, the one live feed that we have coming in right now, take a look at this. This is the Florida recount. It is still underway. It is live look right there inside the Broward County Supervisor of Elections sort of office, and there's a lot of stuff going on right there. And we were talking about this yesterday, popping in right here to just tell you the DeSantis-Gillum race is pretty much poised to be an end. It's probable that DeSantis will win that, and we knew this kind of for a few days, but the other race is even closer. Rick Scott, former governor for Senate, facing the incumbent Bill Nelson, Democrat in Florida, that's the closer race, and it's so close that even with the machine recounts, they had to turn it over into a hand recount, which has a deadline, and they're going to see what happens this weekend. So that's kind of interesting. Still ongoing in Florida, recounts. That's kind of a big national story. So we've been covering that since the election day. But back here at home, a couple of other sort of local stories that have piqued our interest besides the weather, because we're done with that. Let's talk about this because Thanksgiving is so soon. There is a report today, I don't know if you heard this, Demetra, that the CDC is reporting a warning, a salmonella outbreak in Turkey less than a week till Thanksgiving.
That is concerning.
It's very concerning. We have actually a interesting anecdote about this, but the USDA is saying it's not fair to put the producers of this turkey on blast because we're so close to, they have a lot of reasons, but they're saying it's so long and outbreaks happen and it's widespread that it's not fair to do that. But other people are saying, no, we need to know from the government where these turkeys are coming from and what might be happening. You can see on the bottom of your screen there, they're saying possibly 22 products from 7 turkey processors may be affected.
I mean, I would want to know.
How concerning is that?
I don't want to serve, salmonella-infected turkey to my guests.
Yeah.
And, if we know now, we might not buy their turkeys. For those who haven't ordered them yet, you might want to cancel your orders.
Well, what's interesting is that they're bringing to light this 1-year-old outbreak that has been going on, so that's true, but they're bringing it to light 1 week before Thanksgiving, so some people are saying, well, it's not fair then to just be like, let's out those producers now. So it is kind of a, I don't know if this is like a politics game or like a timing thing, but apparently the outbreak is now in 35 states. And I think this sounds a little more staggering possibly than it is, but these numbers are kind of scary.
High, yeah.
164 people sickened, 63 hospitalized, and 1 death. And this is probably throughout the whole, yeah.
But still, I mean, like, especially with Thanksgiving coming up, I'd want to know. This reminds me of the Oprah.
Yeah, what was this?
We
were just talking about this. Tell us about this.
Okay, so I was learning about this in one of my classes. Actually, this happened almost 20 years ago. I was like 1 year old. But Oprah, it was with the mad cow disease. She was talking about this on her show, and she told her viewers and her fans, you know, certain beef companies have infected beef, and like mad cow disease was going around. And actually, these beef industries, their sales declined rapidly because of Oprah saying this on her show. So they sued her, but she ended up winning the lawsuit because she has a right as a public opinion leader to let her fans know,
right?
You know, like their health might be at stake if they eat this contaminated beef.
Right. She went down to Amarillo, Texas to kind of, this is again 20 years ago, but it's interesting to make this comparison or to talk about this, how celebrities can endorse something or do something or say something, and she has a powerful voice and it can sort of impact this. And apparently she won that trial unanimously.
She did.
And because people had the right to know, right?
Right. No,
so it does take you back to that with this.
So it makes me think, you know, we should have the right to know which turkey brands are selling us salmonella-infected turkeys.
It's really interesting. And I'm interested to kind of delve into more of how it's been going on for this whole year and what we should know, because maybe you're going to a new spot or you're doing a new thing for Thanksgiving this year and you don't really know where you're getting it. Right. Do you have any plans yourself?
I'm actually going to go to my aunt's house in Virginia. Every year, my mom's side of the family, we usually go to my aunt's or we have it at our house. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
To see all my cousins.
You have a big family?
It's pretty big. My mom's side's pretty big.
Okay.
So.
And if you're just joining us, just to introduce you, this is Demetra. She's been interning on our assignment desk, doing some cool reporter kind of outings throughout the semester, and she's a senior currently at University of Maryland.
Yes.
University of Maryland, speaking of that, has been in the news so much this year. And let me tell you, it is a huge, university. It has a big sort of presence here on the East Coast in general and just in this area. But there's a lot with the football team scandal this year, with the death of that football player.
Yes.
And
Jordan McNair.
Yeah, Jordan McNair.
The Pee-Pee and Tom.
Yes.
Situation.
Okay, so this is another story. Check this out, guys. Actually, we do have a picture of him. I know, we're going to bring this full screen. It's not, but this is actually a brand new story. We're just talking about it today. Police are searching in College Park, Maryland for this person. This is the one shot we have. This is sort of our mug shot of this person who has apparently been peeping into a residence in College Park. They just released pictures of him, so obviously it almost looks like he's looking at that camera, like he knows it's there.
And I feel like he's just not phased because they said that he broke into their house and he just looked at the girls.
So what we know exactly. So what we know is that he's believed to have been at the same home more than 6 times or 6 times. He was observed peering into a window or door, and in one case he actually walked inside of the home but did not interact or attempt to speak to anyone in that building. And the residents of that home do attend your university. So we do know that.
I can't imagine.
I'm going to bring this.
How I would react if this man did this to me and my roommates in our apartment.
Right.
That's crazy to think about.
Yeah, it's scary. And again, this is brand new information. We're actually sending our reporter Anjali Hemphill to kind of take care of this story today, and she'll be reporting more with a story on tonight's evening broadcast on TV. But right now, we're just going to bring this to you digitally so you can see what we're working on today. And this is, I think, if they can kind of find this and whittle him down and find him, this would be breaking and entering, I believe. I mean, they would be able to charge him, I would think. And they were able to get these clear pictures of him from that camera. So it makes you think about, first of all, the safety of these houses, having security cameras, how important it is, right? The campus life.
I'm shocked that this house has security cameras.
Really?
I wouldn't think a lot of the houses nearby campus are older houses. And I've been to a few of them. The ones I've been to don't have any type of surveillance.
Okay.
Even my
They're
house
older.
At home, yeah.
Yeah.
So even my house at home doesn't have actually a surveillance camera outside.
Right.
I just wouldn't think to install that in my college house I'm renting for a year.
Right.
Or a semester, depending on when they graduate.
Is it a similar living situation where a lot of people live in these kind of group homes there? In a way?
Honestly,
It's mixed.
It's kind of mixed, and a lot of them are also like sorority life. A lot of sorority sisters, want to live together, so
Right.
they live in houses together.
That could be the case. We don't know.
Right. I'm assuming that like might be what he's like the house he might have broken into. I'm not sure.
Right.
Since we don't have that much information.
Yeah, we don't even know if it's females. I mean, that's sort of the assumption that we would think, but
it might not be.
yeah, we just don't know. But I mean, you're right. That's sort of what we're all thinking, that he was peering into these windows and doors, attempted to go, or did get in and didn't talk to anybody. It's kind of bizarre.
So bizarre.
So yeah.
And then what, he just like left? Like
I believe, that's all we know. And then I think the cameras caught him here with like almost kind of using that hat to be his coverage. So detectives were able to get these clear pictures. So I assume they'll be able to find him, maybe locate him today.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I mean, I would hope so. And I would hope if anyone recognizes him, they'd come forward and say his name.
One other thing that's kind of unrelated, but we're gonna go here. Did you see about this? Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Another thing kind of making the social rounds. Check it out. This is a new cereal that's going to be released. Sour Patch. We're totally changing gears here. Sour Patch cereal. There's our picture. The candy's been around for a long time, obviously, but they've reimagined it as this tart, tangy, sweet and sour cereal. It's a new product, and it's going to be available exclusively at Walmart, they said. Literally. So this just makes me think back to all those things we used to try as kids, or like what you could get away with, what you liked, but like, would you ever try that?
No, I'm shocked.
I know.
No.
I'm springing this on her. I would only do it for like a gig or like a funny video or something we were doing for the news, maybe.
I would, if I had to eat it, I would eat it dry though. I don't think it tastes good with milk.
That is so scary to put that with milk. So they're saying it is. It really, really is. They're saying I think they're saying it's sour and it turns sweet after. Sour then sweet. You can see it on the box. You guys, we got away with so many other really bad cereals for us, but I
don't think this will make
this
it.
This is just as bad
Sorry,
or worse.
Walmart, but I don't think so. I mean, I don't even really like the Sour Patch candy to start with. I'm more of a sweet girl. I'm a chocoholic.
Yeah.
So I'm not really big on Sour Patch or the sour watermelon things. Not really my thing. And cereal wise, I strictly Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh, I love it.
It's
nice.
my favorite.
It's great.
So I'm not that crazy. This is a little too crazy for me.
It's a lot. So we're kind of this is a kind of a talker. Everyone's kind of rumbling about what they would do with this. But it is apparently coming out later this winter, and then they're saying it's other retailers will eventually have it by next June. So it's not going to be exclusive to Walmart eventually, but it is for now. So weird, right?
Weird. I wonder if it doesn't do well if the other buyers won't have it.
I know.
But
so weird things that trend on social media. So for now, we're kind of inside the newsroom, just looking at stories and seeing what is going to happen with this Florida recount. Obviously, we're staying in touch with some of these national stories that are making news. Later today, also, President Trump is actually presenting the Medal of Freedom in the East Room of the White House. This is always a big ceremony. It's actually the highest award that can be presented, kind of the highest honor that can be presented to a civilian. So multiple people are being presented with this. Some are living and some are being given this posthumously, including Babe Ruth, Antonin Scalia, former Supreme Court Justice, obviously, and Elvis Presley.
No way.
So some cool ones.
I used to be the biggest Elvis fan when I was younger.
Really?
Yes.
Look at you, old soul.
I know, right? Stop. I have every Elvis Presley record, but I don't have a record player.
I love it.
So
well,
they've
maybe
just
you
been
get
sitting
one
in my
of those.
basement.
You get one of those turntables, do your thing.
At the mall.
Yeah.
Urban Outfitters.
Oh, they have a mini. They have a real one.
It's trendy now, I guess, to play records.
Yeah, it is.
So funny.
That's awesome. I know.
Was gonna get inducted.
So the ceremony might be kind of cool to see, what they present for these people and what they talk about. Again, that's happening later this afternoon, and we should be getting that in live from the White House, as we usually do. Looks like there is a little bit of movement in this Board of Elections room down in Florida. This is a live look down in Broward County, where this has got to be a tedious task, just underway to be working on just the real nitty-gritty of making sure every ballot that is legal, that is right, is counted correctly. And I feel like this is what Florida goes through. We've been talking about this for days now. This is what Florida's always close. So it really does come down to this. So keeping an eye on that, seeing where it goes, and we'll keep you updated with all that. Other than that, Demetra, what else are you working on today? Anything special on the desk, or
today,
seeing what comes in?
It's actually, I've just been a few phone calls.
Oh, really?
For news tips and whatnot. We haven't had that much. I mean,
yeah,
I went up earlier to
Friday.
Tailgate Ted.
Oh, good.
Got some food, tacos.
Every Friday we have our amazing Tailgate Ted is so great. He's a local as his kind of part-time side job, he hosts this huge tailgate at the Redskins games, and he always comes in on Friday and hosts and talks about who the Redskins are playing, and he presents some sort of cuisine from the opposing team.
He gives us game stats and food, so it's awesome.
What did you get from him today?
He made barbacoa tacos, so those are awesome.
And it coincided with the fact that Redskins are playing Houston.
Right, he told us, and then Sunday, his whole theme all week is Tex-Mex, so I love it because he has everything like planned out.
Yeah.
Like yesterday we're playing, and he's also great. Actually, everything he cooks, if he were to cater for someone, it's actually like based off like not necessarily it's like not donations, but you know, it's like he doesn't charge you at all. It's just, you know, out of the goodness of his heart, he just asks for you to pay for the food. So
I love it. When he hosts his big thing at the games.
Yeah, it's almost like charity.
And you're local. Are you a fan of the game? Are you a big football girl?
I'm I love football. I'm a Redskins fan, so I'm rooting for them. They've been doing well this season.
Yeah, they're good. They're better.
A few players are giving out tickets.
Yes,
did you see that?
I did see this. Tell us about that.
Anyway, I actually tweeted out to a few of them. You guys, stop.
You did?
Answer. Yeah, let me tell you who I tweeted to.
So Josh Norman, who was getting on the case, if you're from the area, you might know the story of the Redskins. He was getting on hometown fans who weren't really showing up in the seats, and he wants people to really come out in droves for these games.
Actually, today at I think it's 3:30.
Yeah, later in the afternoon.
You guys should go find him if you're in the area.
He's going to be giving out tickets to promo. Virginia. Hey, come to our games.
Yeah, I think he has 20 tickets he's going to give out or something in person. If you guys find him,
are you going to race down and try to get some?
I'm not going to race down today.
Are you going to make it?
Stop. But you guys, I didn't answer my tweets, but I tweeted actually to Sean Hamilton because he said he had 4 tickets left. Who wants them? And I said, me, please. He didn't answer. And then Mason Foster.
You know, so many people have to be answering this and being like, I need to get these tickets. Well, they're playing on Sunday, and that's what Tailgate Ted was here to kind of promo.
So he'll be at the game.
And so that'll be a big one. Yeah.
And hopefully we beat the Texans.
Oh my gosh. Good.
But yeah.
Good stories going into the weekend. Yeah, we're going into this weekend before Thanksgiving, and it's actually one of the highly high traveled weekend in the area, in really most areas, but AAA saying it's going to be one of the busiest all year, one of the busiest Thanksgiving seasons that we've ever had. I feel like they always say that. But
every year, it's like ever.
And you're not doing much, you're in Virginia.
Yeah, I'm just going down the street.
Yeah.
Are you going anywhere?
I am going up north to Connecticut area for it, so I will be traveling during those high traffic times, which isn't the most fun, but you just sort of you gotta either do it or not, and I'm gonna be a part of it this year. So
this year, did you go up there last year?
I did. No, I did. Last year I did not. But most years I do try to travel, and it is tough when it's these really highly traveled weekends. But we're gonna see how it goes, and we'll be reporting on that and letting you know if you're in the area just what traffic is like and what's going on with that. So. Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks Teresa for joining.
Yeah, no, thanks
for hanging out.
Me. This is fun.
Awesome.
In precinct D as in dog 016, the board finds that this is a valid vote for the Republican, Rick Scott. Okay, in K011, the table agreed that this is a valid vote for the Democrat, Bill Nelson. In C018, the table found a valid vote for the Republican. The table did? Yes. In M as in Mary 029, the table found 2 valid votes for the Republican. In M004, the table found 2 valid votes for the Democrat. In G008, the table found 1 valid vote for the Democrat. G008. Yes, ma'am. Okay, in J001, the table found 1, 2 ballots that were valid for the Democrat. D0 after zero on the table found one without ballot vote for the Democrat. I got it. No color sticking over. Yeah. See if they're all over. Yeah, they're under votes. Yeah, you are. And 003. Yes. Excuse me. Can you get another pair of gloves? Here, they're right here. Oh, never mind. Take your time. Got this. Right there. D026. Two ballots that table three for the Democrat. In M026, there is one ballot that the table agrees for the Democrat. I think they were right with this. In precinct S002, the board finds the following vote an invalid or no vote. Okay, let's go.
Say that one more time, I'm sorry.
One vote for the table.
Your Honors, on the last one, just for the record, the one where the voter had written in representative in Congress, we're going to object to that vote, that ballot not being counted. There's no name in the area where in the write-in area. Voters not identifying a specific another candidate. So it's our position that vote should be counted for the record.
We note your objection. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
In precinct M002, the canvassing board finds the following 2 votes invalid votes.
I can object this one on behalf of the Nelson campaign. Again, I'm going to cite to Florida Administrative Code 1S-2.0273A. If the indicia on a marking for one candidate is stronger than the indicia of the marking on the other candidate, and then the vote should be counted for the candidate with a stronger marking. Here we see, if you look at the ballot, the oval for Bill Nelson is completely filled in, and the Rick Scott oval is partially filled in, not completely filled in. So again, the vote is more indicative for Bill Nelson, and so we'd be asking for that vote to count for Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Quackenbush, and I'm sure you join in on behalf of the Democratic Party, and we believe that your objection will be the same as to this. They're virtually indistinguishable, so we would allow you to have a continuing objection as to both.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just the only other thing I'll point out is if you look at the rest of the races here, the voters voted for all.
Folks in more than a dozen states cleaning up after being slammed by a pre-winter wallop. The first major storm of the season dumped up to several inches of snow, freezing rain, and ice across much of the eastern part of the country Thursday.
I think this is crazy that we have snow already before Thanksgiving.
First snow of the year. It looks great.
People from Missouri to Alabama and all the way up to New England hit with the blast, which impacted schools, roadways, especially during evening commutes.
The roads are really bad.
As soon as you hit an exit, it was just like there were just like tractor trailers stopped everywhere.
And flights, with hundreds canceled and thousands more delayed. At one point Thursday, roughly 400,000 people across the region were without power. Many said they were not prepared for what this large storm brought.
I didn't think it was going to be this heavy.
While others enjoyed Mother Nature's winter wonderland. We're still weeks away from the official start of winter, which is December 21st, and still this unseasonable storm spanned about 1,000 miles. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
The numbers are staggering. More than 50 people killed, more than 10,000 structures destroyed, and crews are still working to fully contain a pair of huge wildfires burning at both ends of the state. Here in Malibu, fire officials say they're making progress on the Woolsey and Hill fires. Some evacuation orders have been lifted, but many remain in shelters after their homes were destroyed.
They get a cot and a blanket and a pillow and a place to sleep, restrooms, food, water, coffee, etc. And also we have a medical staff that's here to help, and emotional, psychological help as well.
Crews are also getting some help from Mother Nature today. Lower winds and higher humidity helping move the fire away from populated areas. Still, officials say there's a lot of work to be done, and they're expecting more massive wildfires like this one in the future.
There's a direct correlation between those temperatures that are going up and the size of our fires and really the destructive level that we're seeing.
Further north, they're also making progress on the Camp Fire, the deadliest and most destructive in state history. In the hard-hit town of Paradise, the mission has turned into a grim search for bodies. Anxious residents who lost their homes now doing their best to focus on the future.
Volunteer and help. But I need a lot of people to bring Paradise back. It's a blank slate now. It can be anything it wants. We can learn from the past and rebuild much better.
Officials say they might not have full containment on both wildfires until the end of November. In Malibu, California, Jeff Paul, Fox News.
Cell phone video shows the end of an unwanted performance inside the Hippodrome Theater. Security escorted out a man who theatergoers say shouted pro-Nazi hate speech during a performance of Fiddler on the Roof Wednesday night.
The house lights went on for intermission, and so all of a sudden there was a commotion and we heard Heil Hitler.
Barry Wolfsheimer stayed and recorded this video while others left the theater in fear of what may follow the outburst.
It was nerve-wracking. It really was. People were scared and just didn't know why that happened, and also what to expect.
A spokesperson for the Hippodrome wrote in a statement to WJZ, behavior like we saw during intermission at Wednesday evening's performance is not and will not be tolerated. It goes on to say, our venue has a proud tradition of providing shared experiences to people from all walks of life. Baltimore Jewish Council Executive Director Howard Libet.
I don't know the person's motives, but whatever it was is just so troubling. I mean, you can understand, given the sensitivities after what's happened the last couple of weeks, the synagogue in Pittsburgh, the country western bar out in California, like you hear someone shout like that, you think the next thing that's coming are gunshots.
Less than 3 weeks ago, an attack on a Pittsburgh synagogue killed 11 people. Newly released FBI statistics say hate crimes nationwide spiked in 2017. More than 20% were motivated by religion, second only to race. Of those, 58% targeted Jews.
Somehow in our culture, we have there's this thinking that it's acceptable, and it's not. It's why it's so important we continue to do education, particularly of our young people.
We were both in tears, just hoping our daughter was safe, hoping she was all right.
Kevin Burns snapped these pictures the morning of the campfire outside a doctor's office in Chico with his wife. As dark smoke hovered over Paradise, he listened to police scanners.
First thing I heard was, block the roads to Paradise, the whole town is on fire. So at that point, me and my wife realized that our daughter went to school that morning, so we just freaked out and we're trying to get back to town, trying to get back to Paradise.
Impossible to do since roads were blocked. All they could do was wait at the edge of town while a relative tried to help.
My mother-in-law went to pick up my daughter at school and was standing out in front of the school just screaming her name.
His daughter, 11-year-old Kaylee, had hitched a ride with the classmates and his mother.
We saw a bunch of flames and then houses getting catched on fire and buildings.
They, along with so many others, drove as fast as they could to safety, feeling trapped at times as the fire closed in.
We were gonna get out and run, and we did that, but we couldn't because it was so hot and like smoke we couldn't see. We were all like praying in the car and just hoping we made it out alive.
Oh, it was just hard to, wait for her like that. It was really hard.
Kaylee's parents worried what typically takes 20 minutes took 4 hours for Kaylee and her classmates' family to make it to Chico. Finally, they were reunited with their daughter.
Relieving. I mean, we all just hugged and cried, and the lady had holes burned all through her shirt. One of the other little girls had burns through her pants.
A neighbor snapped this picture, confirming the Burns family lost their home. This is what they have left, clothes kept in storage. As they start over, they can't help but have new perspective on what's important.
I mean, losing the house really is hard. Just having her is just, I'm thankful for that.
I'm grateful that I have my daughter. I mean, I look at her every day and it reminds me how grateful I am to have her and she's safe.
Florida's governor's race looks like it may be winding down while the Sunshine State Senate race may be heating up. It's so close they'll have to count some ballots by hand, which could result in more legal challenges and more court fights. In Florida's ongoing recount battle, the gloves are on. Florida's vote counters doing their best to be surgically precise after machines counted more than 8 million ballots and then counted them again. The Senate race between Democrat incumbent Bill Nelson and Governor Rick Scott is separated by less than 0.25%, around 12,000 votes. The governor has led since election night, and his advisors say it's over.
Bill Nelson has to look in the mirror and ask himself if he would like to end his career dragging the entire state of Florida through the courts for more time.
But the margin is so close that by law there has to be a hand recount of ballots the machines rejected for whatever reason. That's not enough to satisfy Nelson's lawyer Mark Elias, who is trying to close the gap by demanding all 8 million plus votes be eyeballed by a human, bringing back memories of Bush versus Gore in 2000. Elias tweeted, "We have sued Palm Beach County and the Florida Secretary of State to require a hand count of all ballots in the county due to systematic machine failure during the machine recount."
We've all heard there have been 26 statewide recounts since the year 2000. 3 of them changed the result, and those changed in terms of hundreds of votes, not thousands of votes. And so there's no practical sense in which somehow Bill Nelson picks up more than 12,500 votes in this.
Meantime, the governor's race does appear to be over. Republican Ron DeSantis has maintained his lead through all of the machine recounts, and his margin is wide enough to stave off a hand recount. And next door in Georgia, Democrat Stacey Abrams still has not conceded despite being behind by 60,000 votes to Republican Brian Kemp. But it's possible that election could be certified as soon as tonight. Reporting in Washington, D.C., I'm Ellison Barber, Fox News.
This is wrong. Why did you not explain to me first?
This woman will only call Lucille can barely think straight.
I said, what's going on? What's going on?
She had just gotten out of the shower when she says more than a dozen officers in tactical gear stormed in without warning.
Like bang, it's broken.
Traumatizing her and her young autistic son.
Like in the split of second, I realized that there's a lot of sheriff officer with their like lights in their, I don't know how to describe that.
Turns out a multi-agency drug unit was executing a warrant. We won't say who they're looking for. We can tell you, though, the name and address on the warrant match up, but officers raided the wrong home. The person they're looking for shares the same name but not address.
Bring me here outside.
The mother and son were forced outside, she says, during the raid. The child in his diaper, the mother handcuffed.
They handcuffed me like that. I said, my son, like, could you tell me what's going on?
She says she was mysteriously pulled over earlier in the day by several officers. A search of the vehicle turned up nothing. Several doors of her home are temporarily damaged. She's afraid the emotional scars may be permanent.
Why did you not explain to me first? And I have my son. Why did you not let me wear slippers first? Like, you know, I'm so shocked. I don't know.
Markets yesterday recovering some losses. The Dow closing up 208 points, closing at 25,289. The Nasdaq up 122 points, closing at 7,259. The S&P 500 also gaining 28 points at the close, ending at 2,730. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg says it's unfair how his company is being treated after Facebook admitted they have struggled to spot Russian activity on the platform and react to it in a timely manner. This follows a New York Times report that said top executives at Facebook tried to hide and downplay the scope of the problem on their site from the public and from lawmakers. The FDA's e-cig flavor crackdown is here. The administration is now limiting flavors that can be sold where people under 18 can shop, like gas stations and convenience shops. Under the ban, all e-liquids in pods, bottles, and e-cigs in traditional tobacco flavors, plus mint and menthol, can stay on the shelf in plain sight, but fruity and dessert flavors need to be kept out of plain sight because the FDA says they're kid-friendly. So those flavors will need to be in restricted areas, and the shops need to make sure they don't let underage consumers purchase them. The flavors can be sold online, but the site must have age verification in place. That's business. For more, log on to foxbusiness.com. In Los Angeles, I'm Hillary Vaughn.
911, location of your emergency.
The call for help came from this Cocoa neighborhood. A man in the area for a yard sale Sunday spots a toddler near the side of the road.
I went by this house about half hour ago, probably about 25 minutes ago. There's a baby outside the car in a car seat.
Deputies say the Good Samaritan called them when he saw the toddler was still there at the end of the driveway with no adults in sight. The sheriff's office responding to Gatewood Street.
You can't even see out the windows to watch this baby.
Making contact with the people who live inside this home. According to an arrest report, the child's mother, Brittany Eggert, told them the child was only left unattended for a couple of minutes. But investigators say the time between the 911 call and when they arrived was 16 minutes, and no one was with the child that whole time. Deputies say they also learned the 2-year-old has several medical conditions, including seizures, cerebral palsy, and he's blind in both eyes. They were told the child could have a seizure if his body temperature rises, and it was 83 degrees outside at the time. Paramedics checked the toddler out at the scene, and investigators say the child's parents, Eggert and Randall Crockett, were arrested. No one was home when we stopped by today. Deputies say DCF has been notified.
Phi Gamma Delta, or better known as Fiji, is no longer being recognized as a student organization until at least January 2022. This is all while authorities work to figure out if hazing or alcohol may have played a part in this Houston teen's death. It was about to be the start of a new chapter at Texas A&M for the Houston freshman Joseph William Little. But authorities said the 18-year-old unexpectedly died from a seizure in his off-campus dorm at the Callaway House back in late August.
The day, on Sunday, I saw him get loaded into the ambulance.
The unexpected and possibly unnatural way Joseph died prompted Brazos County Justice of Peace Judge Rick Hill to call for an investigation and autopsy to determine if alcohol or drugs may have played a factor.
He was a young man, freshman at A&M, no medical history to speak of, no history of seizures, and so for me, we needed to know the manner of death, cause of death.
The Aggie Accountability Board for Student Organizations suspended the fraternity. Fiji filed an appeal, but will not be allowed to participate in any university events or use any facilities on campus in the meantime. For now, the fate of what happens next lays in the hands of the results from the medical examiner's office.
When you hear of these things, you automatically think alcohol, drugs, things like that. And the Sigma Nu case, that's what that was. That was alcohol and drugs. The thing that's been weird about this one is that his initial toxicology came back as negative.
College Station police say they are also investigating this incident, but they are waiting for the toxicology results to come back. Now, this could all boil down to 3 options for Fiji. The suspension could be upheld or modified, or this all could go back for another hearing from the board. Reporting from College Station, Natalie He, Fox 26 News.
A playground built in just hours. Over 200 volunteers coming together to meet the needs of the children who make this community so bright.
These kids have a heart of gold. We're in an area that's 98.5% poverty, and these kids aren't used to having something this nice.
Since there are very few places for kids to play safely in the neighborhood, the school partnered with Discover and the Kaboom Project to build their dream playground.
This is exciting. This is what fills our bucket. When you can really give to other people, it creates something inside of you that just makes you feel really good about what you're doing.
A design made special for the children.
About 2 months ago, I came out and the kids drew their ideas for the playground, and we took those ideas and designed the playground that we're building here today. So it is unique to VCA, and so we're really excited.
It's like Christmas Day for them. They are just ecstatic. And we can't get on until Monday. That's the hard thing, right? So we have to let the concrete settle. So we got to look at it for a couple of days, and then Monday we're going to have a big party and a big deal where they can come out here and get on and start playing.
In Phoenix, Carmen Blackwell, Fox 10 News.
You take a picture of that QR code, and this entire look is loaded onto your phone.
We are going to be allowing our consumers in the mobile app to buy product in their app and walk out without needing to talk to us.
At Nike's new flagship on Fifth Avenue, the House of Innovation, you can shop 68,000 square feet of cutting-edge retail space without talking to a human.
This is the most responsive and personal store that we've ever built.
There are digital innovations and custom experiences throughout the 6 floors, all geared towards the modern shopper.
This store needs to respond to the consumer. It needs to move at a much faster pace than a flagship typically moves.
Starting with the Speed Shop, designed specifically for local New Yorkers, it has a separate entrance to avoid the crowds of tourists and all the basics you might have forgotten in your gym bag.
You can reserve them, send it to the store, or they'll be here. We'll pull them from store inventory, and there's brilliant lockers downstairs. And you come in, you scan your pass, your locker pops open, you can check out instantly on the app. You don't ever have to talk to a human, and then you can be on your way.
If you do want to talk to a human, book a private appointment in the Nike Expert Studio.
You can go really deep with our experts into running gear up and training.
Or drop by Cut and Sew to design your own clothes.
These looks have all been created. We've got the seamstresses ready.
On the ground floor, Nike Arena, you can customize sneakers while you wait.
If you want to make some small tweaks, you want to change the laces, put a debray on it, maybe swap a swoosh, we can do that here really quickly, 5-10 minutes at the counter. But if you really want to get into it, you want to fully break it down, customize it, do some dip dye, you make an appointment in our maker studio and you work with the designer, and we'll help you basically create one of one on that product.
The Nike Sneaker Lab has the largest collection of Nike kicks in the world with over 300 styles.
The way that the footwear is presented is a custom fixturing system that we designed called the Sport Grid. And what we wanted to do is really treat footwear like art.
So here we are now.
In what looks...
I'm doing good. She's doing good.
Like a post-game press conference.
It was amazing.
Jessica Wickersheimer can say she feels like a winner. The 39-year-old West Dallas woman is recovering from an October 10th kidney transplant.
This is the best tears that you can have in your eyes when you see the fruit of your labor and you see your patients happy about her outcome.
How this moment happened began with a billboard.
I need it as soon as I can.
Over the summer, Wickersheimer and her family paid for a billboard searching for kidney donors.
And I knew that would have been a really good weekend to do it because it's so many people.
Strategically, the family chose to advertise during the 4th of July and the Harley anniversary.
And Jessica and I have got to be very, very close. And it's like, she has my kidney. And she doesn't, but it's like she does.
Jennifer Shallow answered the call. Even though she wasn't an exact match, she entered the donor exchange program, guaranteeing a kidney for Wickersheimer.
Jessica got a kidney from another state. Her donor gave to another state, and that state gave the organ back.
The two have been recovering for several weeks, and even though Wickersheimer was advertising to visitors from across the country during Harley,
and I knew she was local, but she's really local.
The two new friends live a mere 3 miles apart.
She ended up giving her kidney to a stranger, and in return, I got one.
It's a weekday morning at the Hyde Park Barber Studio. All 4 chairs are filled with customers. The barber's pole is spinning, and so are the barbers when I show them what we found.
Here's what the barbers are making at the state level.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a pretty impressive number.
Apprehended. We're gonna get into a better viewing point here. He's apprehended here. Again, the suspect, the driver, there he is right there, and CHP taking him into custody. But that was a violent ending to the pursuit, that pit maneuver. As I said, you have a high-sided vehicle like that, and you just tap it on the end, and it went end over end. Well, I'll tell you what. Here's the situation. This guy is endangering a lot of people, and it crossed 2 counties. He wasn't yielding. He was driving recklessly. He's not a good guy, and they wanted to bring this to an end, and if they thought that it was a safe time to do it, the officer is obviously looking at opposing traffic as well, because he had not only the westbound lanes to worry about, that was the direction the pursuit was traveling in, but also eastbound lanes. And just a slight tap, I had just mentioned how a high-sided vehicle like this is not going to be the most stable. It didn't take much for this to end, and this driver now is in custody. And again, you said alleged stolen vehicle suspect, but he may have other wants as well. We don't know at this point. Let's go back to the crash scene. Let's go back to the crash scene. Let's look back at the crash scene. This is done, Pat. I just want to make sure nothing else is. We saw La Puente. We're close to Carson. All right, what would you like us to do? That was gnarly, huh? That's, it was just that's going to happen. The booth is done with us, so let's start going north. We're like wasting time here if we don't. Yeah. No, she's done. She's done. She already told me. She's done. I'm waiting on you guys at the location. They wrapped me and said we're done with this. Just go north and. Yeah, but we need to know which one is.
Oh my God. Well, we're back in the newsroom here after we just lost that feed. I'm back with Demetria, but she's not going to stay too long. But we just wanted to say that we were watching that police pursuit. If you guys were on with us too, usually we get those in for a brief period of time. We have that narration by Rick Dickert, who's in the chopper in LA. And usually it ends up being kind of crazy, but that was kind of a gnarly crash.
It was interesting to watch, honestly. I mean, we were trying to figure out what was on this man's truck. Like, it looked like it was a stove or some sort of kitchen appliance.
Couldn't quite tell, yeah. But anyway, the pursuit ended in that sort of car mangled crash on the highway, and then they got him in that parking lot. But sometimes these go on and on and on, and they're chased, through forests and trees and different areas of anything. It depends where it is, Midwest or the West. But I know those are always exciting in our newsroom. But unfortunately, that one ended, shorter than usual.
Yeah, it was kind of boring watching that. Maybe.
Yeah. All right. Well, back to some of the top stories of today. Again, guys, be primed because in the next hour or so, we're going to make sure we bring in the footage of President Trump presenting that Medal of Honor, or Medal of Freedom, rather, to 7, I believe, candidates, some of them posthumously, including Elvis and Babe Ruth, and that's going to be a big ceremony in the White House. And other than that, we're going to be looking for some more live feeds coming into our newsroom. So thanks, Demetria, for helping out today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
All 4 chairs are filled with customers. The barber's pole is spinning, and so are the barbers when I show them what we found.
Here's what the barbers are making at the state level.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those are pretty impressive numbers.
Those numbers are the salaries of 22 full-time licensed barbers and 2 barber teachers employed by the Illinois Department of Corrections to cut hair in the state's prisons. And would you be surprised to learn
Illinois is paying a lot, employing a lot, and this is just another example of just how bad it is here in the state.
records obtained by Fox 32 and Open the Books show 15 prison barbers made more than $87,000 a year in 2017. At least 2 have topped 6 figures in the past 2 years. Altogether in 2017, Illinois taxpayers spent nearly $2 million to cut prisoners' hair. We checked with other states and couldn't find any paying that kind of money for prison barbers. In fact, New York State and California, both with larger prison populations, apparently use inmates to cut hair. New York City's jail system does employ 11 barbers, but they only make an average of about $36,000 a year.
Typical for Illinois is paying up to 2 times more per position in barbering than these other states. And New York is a union stronghold state.
In a statement, an Illinois Department of Corrections spokesperson says the calculation of wages for barbers is based on an agreement between the state and the International Union of United Food and Commercial Workers. Per the agreement, barbers are subject to a prevailing wage rate. But barbers we showed those numbers to say they only wish that were the prevailing wage.
How's that stack up with what you make in the private sector?
Oh, they killing us.
Really?
Yeah. And that's a real good part. Could I get a job?
According to the Federal Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average barber salary in Illinois is $43,000 a year. Owner Abdul Karim says while he's happy to see some barbers making big money, as a business owner, he has a different reaction.
It's extremely frustrating to taxpayers, and I believe that we get fleeced all the time in Illinois.
Just one more way Illinois taxpayers are getting a haircut. Dane Placco, Fox 32 News.
On June 21st, Chantel Anderson and her 3 young kids were driving northbound on I-15 when
all of a sudden a black car appeared sideways in front of us. You never expect that.
You can see the black car overcorrect and turn back onto the roadway, hitting a semi-truck before sideswiping Chantel's white truck, which was driving northbound in the HOV lane.
Elderly woman doesn't remember why she left the roadway.
Troopers say the woman had some kind of medical issue when she hit both vehicles. Nobody was hurt because everybody was wearing their seatbelts, but that could have easily not been the case.
I usually do not wear my seatbelt.
When she told me to put on my seatbelt, I was like, you got to put on your seatbelt too, because it's just safe to always put on your seatbelt.
I didn't at first, but by the time we got to the freeway, he had bugged me enough that I had put my buckle on.
And then like 10 minutes later, we got in the crash.
And if Dallin hadn't convinced his mom to buckle up,
you can get hurt or like pass away if you get in a bad crash.
If she wasn't wearing her seatbelt, it would have ultimately ended up being a fatal crash for us.
It's a lesson for all of us because nobody is invincible on the road.
No matter how well you think you can drive, because ultimately a situation just like this can occur right in front of you.
Seatbelts can save lives.
If you need another reason to buckle up, UHP is increasing seatbelt enforcement over Thanksgiving weekend with an additional 275 shifts dedicated to looking for unbuckled drivers.
Last year, we saw a little bit of a spike in fatalities over Thanksgiving weekend. We do not want to see that again.
Reporting in Salt Lake City, Dora Scheidel, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Awesome. Don't put in my courtroom and say that. Yeah, right? I'll have them take you out back tomorrow. We asked yesterday about cell phones. If you have cell phones in this room, please turn off the ringer.
P008, table agreed to a valid vote for the Democrat, Bill Nelson.
So if you can't read it, you take your ballots out and you look at the ballot and then it'll tell us what vote on C020. And then we're going to correct the outside number there so that it's easy for them tonight. C020. So this is the green, looks like we get to determine it.
In precinct C020, the canvassing board has ruled this is a valid vote for the Republican, Rick Scott. We'll wait. Finished. In A002, the table agreed to one valid vote for the Democrat, Bill Nelson. And J018, you might have to look through these staff to make sure they're all undervotes. In J018, the table agreed to one valid vote for the Democrat, Bill Nelson, and to one valid vote for the Republican, Rick Scott. And they're all undervotes.
We have one more bin back here if they want to sort that. Two. I marked it DBM vote by mail. Careful, don't trip there. There's nothing in your book. Let someone else help. You know, some of these young bucks around here. This last one was J018. We just agreed on each one. We just do another one?
Yes, ma'am. D008, all undervotes. Do we need to write that on the outside? In precinct B029, the table agreed to a valid vote for the Democrat, Bill Nelson.
D.
E is an egg.
B031.
In precinct P004, the canvassing board ruled one vote invalid as an undervote. Yeah. That gets right in, that is from P0. This is it. This goes E is an egg. In precinct V031, the canvassing board rules that this is an invalid ballot. Invalid vote. F001, rewrite. In Y004, the table rule 1 valid vote for Democrats, Bill Nelson. One valid agreed for the Democrat. Yes, the table agreed. In precinct Y004, the canvassing board rules that the following is no vote, an invalid vote. In precinct V as in Victor 053, the canvassing board rules that the following vote is a valid vote for Rick Scott, the Republican.
Okay, what about this one? M019, what was in it? This, okay.
In precinct X012, the board finds a valid vote for the Democrat, Bill Nelson.
Yes.
Okay.
Somebody with water in here. Thanks. F001, is there anything in it?
No, ma'am, those are all under votes. In precinct W017, the canvassing board finds a valid vote for the Democrat, Bill Nelson. there? I'll write it on there, Ivan. U003. In U003, the table agreed to a valid Henrik Scott. In T012, the table found a valid vote for Republican Rick Scott. In R057, the table found a valid vote for the Democrat Bill Nelson. In precinct N008, the table found a valid vote for the Democrat, Bill Nelson. In precinct A015, the canvassing board finds an invalid vote.
Says neither one.
Than anybody would believe, but you have to act with respect. You're in the White House. The way some of my people get treated at press conferences, it's terrible. So we're setting up a certain standard, which is what the court is requesting, and always freedom of the press, always First Amendment, but that's the way it is. And we always have the option of just leaving, you know, if we feel that things aren't being treated properly, that people aren't being treated properly, we always have the right to leave. And I think the other media, the other press in the room will not be very happy if that happens. But I've instructed my people, when they're not treated properly, you have the right to just leave anytime you want. Okay?
Mr. President, China gave a response this week to your trade request. Have you seen that response? And are you pleased with it?
Did you say China?
China, yes, on
Yeah,
trade.
go ahead. Tell me what their response was.
They sent a response with 142 items on trade.
Yeah, that's good.
Just
No,
wondering
China
what
wants
your
to make a
thoughts are
deal.
about it.
Yeah, China, as you know, Jeff, China wants to make a deal. They sent a list of things that they're willing to do, which was a large list. And it's just not acceptable to me yet. But at some point, I think that we are doing extremely well with respect to China. I have a great respect for President Xi. I have a great respect for China. But China has taken advantage of the United States for many, many years. Ron Johnson knows that maybe better than anybody because Ron's a big believer in what I'm doing. And I think that they're going to come in and we're going to either open up China and make it fair, because it's not fair right now. They do very little business with them, and we do a lot of business. You know, it just can't be. Plus, they have tremendous barriers. They have tremendous tariffs on us that we didn't have on them. But that's all changed now. We put on tariffs on $250 billion worth of goods, and we have another 267 billion to go if we want to. We may not have to do that. China would like to make a deal. Our country has done very well, and China, as you know, has not done very well. They've been down 30%, 32%. They've been down very substantially. We have helped create China as we know it today by allowing money to be sucked out of our country by the billions, $500 billion a year in many cases over a long period of time. And we can't allow that to happen. And I think we will have a great relationship with China. Hopefully we'll make a deal. And if we don't, we're doing very well just the way it is right now. We have tariffs coming in on $250 billion worth of goods. And we're talking about billions and billions of dollars a month will flow into our country and has already started flowing into our country that comes from China. So China's never been put in this position, and I don't want to put them in a bad position. I want to put them in a great position. But it's called reciprocal. We have to have reciprocal trade. We can't have trade that's meant for stupid people. And that's the way they took advantage of our country. And we don't have that anymore, and they understand that. And I think a deal will be made. We'll find out very soon.
The list, just to follow up, sir, the list that they submitted, do you think it goes far enough? Are you happy with it?
It's a pretty complete list. It's a lot of the things we asked for. There's some things, there are 4 or 5 big things left off. I think we'll probably get them too. But it's, as you know, it's a very complete list. I think it's 142 items. And that's a lot of items. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. One more, Mr. President. You on Twitter yesterday seemed a bit agitated about what you might be perceiving the Mueller investigation.
No, I'm not agitated. It's a hoax. The whole thing is a hoax. There was no collusion.
But did anything trigger that set of tweets?
No, not at all. No, I'm very happy. I'm very happy with the White House. I'm extremely happy with our country. We're doing better on the economy. Maybe it's the best economy we've ever had. They may be the best unemployment numbers and employment numbers that we've ever had. There are more people working in the United States right now at this moment than have ever worked in the United States by far. I'm extremely happy. I'm very happy with almost all of my cabinet. And, you know, changes are made because they're always made, especially after midterms. But it's all fake news. I'm thrilled with the way the country's going. I think on foreign, we're doing very well. We're making trade deals. We just made a deal with Mexico. We just made a deal with Canada. We just made a deal with South Korea that are phenomenal deals, and they were horrible deals before.
But you seemed unhappy with the Mueller investigation, particularly yesterday morning.
No, it's just a continuation. You can go. There should have never been any Mueller investigation because there was never anything done wrong. There was no collusion. There never has been. You would have known about it a long time ago if there was. There was nothing. They should have never had it. They've wasted millions and millions of dollars. There should have never been a so-called investigation, which in theory it's not an investigation of me. But it's, as far as I'm concerned, I like to take everything personally because you do better that way. The witch hunt, as I call it, should never have taken place. It continues to go on. I imagine it's ending now. From what I hear, it's ending. And I'm sure it'll be just fine. And you know why it's going to be just fine? Because there was no collusion. The fact is, I was a much better candidate than Hillary Clinton. I went to the right states. She went to the wrong states. She was not a good campaigner. Obviously, I campaigned very well. And I easily won the election in the Electoral College. 306, I guess it was 306 to 223. That's a big difference.
Can you provide answers, sir?
About what?
To the special counsel. Your lawyers working with you today on that?
Yeah, it's not, my lawyers aren't working on that. I'm working on that. I write the answers. My lawyers don't write answers. I write answers. I was asked a series of questions. I've answered them very easily. Very easily. I'm sure they're tricked up because, you know, they like to catch people. Gee, you know, was the weather sunny or was it rainy? He said it may have been a good day. It was rainy. Therefore, he told a lie. He perjured himself. Okay, so you have to always be careful when you answer questions with people that probably have bad intentions. But no, it's the questions were very routinely answered by me. By me.
Okay. You mean the special counsel? You mean
to the special counsel? Yeah.
And you submitted the answers?
I haven't submitted them yet. I just finished them. As you know, I've been a little bit busy. We've been in Europe. We've been working on various deals. We just finished the USMCA. If you look at that deal, which is one of the great trade deals, you'll see. I mean, you can see how happy our farmers are. We've done a lot of work in the last period of time, so we've been very busy. It's been very, very hard to find time. But it didn't take very long to do them, and they were my answers. I don't need lawyers to do that. Now, you need lawyers for submittal. You need lawyers to go over some of the answers. But they're not very difficult questions. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Press.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
And you feel the same way? I feel that it's a valid policy. Okay. I don't think so. Can't take it as consistency. Right, but this is, that says if it's consistent, everything else is consistent. In this one, and if you notice in this one, there's no other ovals that are darker. So I can't tell if he was saying, I don't want to, or, you know, or she.
I think if they mark too many, it's just invalid. I think that's a word.
I can't. I agree. Let's go to the next one.
I know I'm going to show it to my other.
In precinct V050, the canvassing board finds that both of these ballots are invalid ballots. Shown the whole ballot.
And Your Honors, if we could object to that one.
Well, Mr. Quackenbush, you might want to look at the entire ballot that's being shown
Yes, Your
before
Honor.
you register your.
Yes, Your Honor. Again, Your Honor, we're gonna object to this vote for Senator Nelson not counting. I'm going to cite to Florida Administrative Code 1S-2.027 which again says that the marking for one candidate is more indicative of a vote for that candidate than the marking for another candidate. Then the candidate who has a stronger marking should get the vote. I point out that on the ballot, the oval for Senator Nelson is completely filled in, and the oval for Governor Scott, there's just one line through the oval. We would argue that
So we don't need argument, counsel. We just need an objection for the record.
And you're joining for the Democratic Party? Yes. Okay.
Your Honor, I apologize for extending us here longer, but I just want to read 3A. A vote cast on this voting system is valid for a particular candidate, issue choice, or judicial retention choice when the voter marks the ballot as specified. There's nothing about one being darker than the other. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hang on. In precinct V003, the decision of the board is that this is an invalid vote. Okay. In H004, the table determined by agreement that this was a valid vote for Bill Nelson, the Democrat. In M018, the table determined a valid vote for the Democrat. Just one. It's moving along.
Are there any other color?
Is that it?
Are there any other
undervotes?
Okay.
In precinct V022, the board determines that this is not a valid ballot. I think that voter lives on the east side of town. No.
They have no idea. They go, who is it? Oh, you didn't? No. Well, it's definitely generational. That's a Dem. That's my vote.
In precinct X045, the board finds a valid vote for the Democrat, Bill Nelson. In precinct C021, the table agreed to a valid vote for the Republican Rick Scott. In precinct A009, the table agreed to a valid vote for the Democrat, Bill Nelson. It's okay. Is that on the outside? Okay. One. In precinct Q043, the canvassing board finds the following vote invalid. In precinct L004, the table agreed to 2 valid votes in behalf of Bill Nelson, the Democrat. The rest are undervotes. In B005, the table agreed to a valid vote for the Democrat, Bill Nelson. Hold on. Zero 47. In precinct C006, the canvassing board finds the following to be a valid vote for the Democrat.
The next 022 is everything, nothing for the board to consider.
Friendly. I'm taking my shit and I'm getting out of here. We're going to set up sticks right next to
block your shot.
Hang on, get Griff on the phone.
We're gonna get right next to you. Watch where he goes, sir.
In precinct F006, the board finds the following to be a valid vote for Bill Nelson. In precinct W002, the board finds that the following vote is invalid.
If you look at the ballot, the oval for Bill Nelson.
We don't need
States cleaning up after being slammed by a pre-winter wallop. The first major storm of the season dumped up to several inches of snow, freezing rain, and ice across much of the eastern part of the country Thursday.
I think this is crazy that we have snow already before Thanksgiving.
First snow of the year. It looks great.
People from Missouri to Alabama and all the way up to New England hit with the blast, which impacted schools, roadways, especially during evening commutes.
The roads are really bad.
As soon as you hit an exit,
it was just like there were just like tractor trailers stopped everywhere.
And flights, with hundreds canceled and thousands more delayed. At one point Thursday, roughly 400,000 people across the region were without power. Many said they were not prepared for what this large storm brought,
I didn't think it was going to be this heavy.
while others enjoyed Mother Nature's winter wonderland. We're still weeks away from the official start of winter, which is December 21st, and still this unseasonable storm spanned about 1,000 miles. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Ladies and gentlemen, the recipients of the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The Honorable Orrin G. Hatch. On behalf of the Honorable Antonin Scalia, Mrs. Maureen Scalia. Dr. Miriam Adelson. Mr. Roger Staubach. The Honorable Alan C. Page. On behalf of George Herman Babe Ruth, Mr. Thomas Stevens. On behalf of Elvis Aaron Presley, Mr. Jack Soden. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States and Mrs. Trump.
Thank you very much, please. It's a great honor. Melania and I are thrilled to welcome you to the White House as we honor the recipients of our nation's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, something very, very special. We're joined today by many members of my administration, including Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Hello, Mike. Steve Mnuchin. Steve, thank you very much. Wilbur Ross. Alex Acosta. Matt Whitaker. Ben Carson. Betsy DeVos. Administrator Linda McMahon. Ambassador Lighthizer. And acting administrator, who I will tell you is going to be made permanent. He's done a fantastic job, and I want to congratulate him. EPA, Andrew Wheeler. Where's Andrew? Congratulations, Andrew. Great job. Great job. Thank you very much. Thank you as well to Senator Amy Klobuchar for being here. Where is Amy, by the way? Where is Amy? I did better before, Amy. And for 5 decades, I have to say, the presidential individuals who have made outstanding contributions to American life and culture. This year, it is my true privilege to award this honor to 7 extraordinary Americans. Senator Orrin Hatch, the late great Justice Antonin Scalia, Miriam Adelson, Roger Staubach, Alan Page, and 2 more recipients who are no longer with us, but whose legacies will live on forever. Legendary Babe Ruth, legendary Elvis Presley. True legends. The first recipient is one of the longest serving and most respected senators in American history. Senator Orrin Hatch, a friend of mine, a great friend of mine. He liked me right from the beginning, and therefore I like him. That helps. It's the way it is. I guess I'm not supposed to say it, but that's the way life works, right? For the last 42 years, Senator Hatch has proudly represented the people of Utah, sponsoring more bills that have become law than any living legislator. From rewriting our tax code to helping just hardworking Americans get through life, to reshaping our courts, to uphold the vision of our founders, to protecting the religious freedom of all Americans. His achievements are too numerous to count. Senator Hatch is a true American statesman. Today, Senator Hatch is joined by his incredible family, the love of his life, Elaine. They've been married for 61 years, along with their 6 children, Brent, Marcia, Scott, Kimberly, Lisa, and Jess. Congratulations. Please stand up. Congratulations to you all. Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations to you all. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Thank you. The second recipient we honor today is one of the greatest, truly was one of the greatest jurists ever to serve our country, Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. Universally admired for his towering intellect, brilliant wit, and fierce devotion to our founding principles, Justice Scalia has made a deep and lasting impact on the history of our nation. His presence is dearly missed by all. Friend of a lot of people, truly great intellect. Justice Scalia transformed the American legal landscape, igniting a national movement to apply the original meaning of the Constitution as written. Few have done more to uphold this nation's founding charter. Through nearly 900 written opinions and more than 30 years on the bench, Justice Scalia defended the American system of government and preserved the foundation of American freedom. Our whole nation is indeed indebted to Justice Scalia for his lifetime of noble and truly incredible service. Joining us for this ceremony is his wife, Maureen, who's become a great friend of my family, myself, and their 9 children, Anne, Jean, John, Catherine, Mary Claire, Paul, Matthew, Christopher, and Meg. You were very busy. Wow. Wow. I always knew I liked him. Also here are several of Justice Scalia's former colleagues, and very respected ones at that. It's a personal tribute that they are giving to their friend. Chief Justice Roberts, where are you? Thank you very much. Thank you. Justice Ginsburg, glad to see you feeling great. Justice Alito, Thank you. Justice Kagan, Justice Gorsuch, and Justice Kavanaugh. Thank you very much. It's a great honor. Looking down and saying thank you very much. Our next Medal of Freedom recipient is a renowned philanthropist, somebody who's worked so hard, doesn't have to do it, but she does. 24 hours a day, this is what she does. Miriam Adelson. A medical doctor, Miriam has dedicated her life to fighting addiction, something we're all becoming all too familiar with. Through decades of innovative research, philanthropy, and treatment, Miriam has helped thousands break free from their addiction to drugs and to alcohol. In 2006, Miriam and her husband Sheldon, who's with us today, thank you, Sheldon, established the Adelson Medical Research Foundation to prevent, reduce, or eliminate life-threatening diseases. To protect the sacred heritage of the Jewish faith, Miriam and Sheldon have supported Jewish schools, Holocaust memorial organizations, and helped Jewish Americans visit the Holy Land. Miriam, I want to thank you very much for saving so many lives and helping so many people to get back to a normal way of life. You've been incredible. I know the work you've done, and you have been truly incredible. Here to celebrate Miriam's award is Sheldon. Where is Sheldon? Where is Sheldon? Where is he? There he is. Oh, well, you didn't make the front row. He's probably angry. Thank you, Sheldon. And their children, Sivan, Yasmin, Adam, Maitan, as well as their son-in-law, Patrick. Thank you all for being here. Please stand up. Thank you. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Congratulations. And they were very happy to see the embassy move to Jerusalem. They were very happy about that. So congratulations on that also. They fought very hard for that. Capital of Israel. Our next recipient of the Medal of Freedom is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I used to watch him when I was going to school, and I'd say they can't catch him. He's just better by far than everybody else. He is something. The winner of the Heisman Trophy, Roger Staubach. As a midshipman at the United States Naval Academy, Roger set 28 football records. Upon graduation, he volunteered to deploy to Vietnam for 1 year and served in the Navy for a total of 4 years. At the age of 27, which is a little late, he began his NFL career, and what a career it was. Over the next 11 seasons, Roger led the Dallas Cowboys to 4 Super Bowls and earned Pro Bowl honors 6 times. His exceptional talent earned Roger a place in both the College Football Hall of Fame and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And I have to tell you, I had a golf match where Roger was my partner, and we were in deep trouble. And Roger was also in deep trouble. He was so deep in the weeds that you wouldn't believe it. And we desperately needed a par on the 18th hole to win. And he came out and hit his shot. I don't know how it happened, but he was this far from the hole. We got our par, we won. And I said, that's Roger Staubach. I hope you remember that, Roger. That was quite exciting. Roger and Marianne, his wife of 53 years, have generously supported thousands of Americans in need, including students, military families, and our truly great veterans. So helpful. Roger, you inspire Americans across the country to work hard, dream big, and always push on to victory. Roger became a great financial success, very successful businessman after his football career. His family is with us for this special ceremony. Marianne and their 5 children, Jennifer, Michelle, Stephanie, Jeff, and Amy. Please stand up, please. Please stand up. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Our next Medal of Freedom recipient is American football legend, and he was indeed a legend. He was tough, strong. A Minnesota Supreme Court Justice. He became a Supreme Court Justice also. He's only nervous with all of these U.S. Supreme Court Justices. Justice Alan Page, a very special man, a college football Hall of Famer. Alan helped Notre Dame secure the national championship in 1966. He went on to have a 15-year NFL career with the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. He became the first and one of the only defensive players to earn the league's MVP award. That happens very, very seldom. While Alan was still playing for the Vikings, he went to law school and earned a law degree from the University of Minnesota Law School. In 1993, he became the first African-American justice on the Minnesota Supreme Court, where he served for more than 2 decades. That's very impressive. What do you think? That's a very impressive job. Really it is. Thank you, Alan. Alan and his wife, Diane, founded the Page Education Foundation, which has provided nearly 7,000 scholarships to civic-minded students. Sadly, 1 month ago, Diane passed away after a heroic struggle with cancer. Said to be a great woman. Alan, we know that the goodness, grace, and hope that Diane brought into our world will live on for many generations to come. She is looking down on you right now, and she is so proud with love. She is so proud of you. Alan is joined today by 3 of their children, Georgiana, Justin, and Cammie. Please stand up. Please stand up. Thank you. Thank you. It's a great honor. Thank you. It is also my honor today to award the Medal of Freedom to one of the most celebrated sports heroes in world history, the Sultan of SWAT, the great Bambino, the one and only Babe Ruth. He truly is, when you think, let's face it, Babe Ruth is Babe Ruth, right? George Herman Babe Ruth Jr., he was a junior. I can imagine what his father was like. He must have been tough. Lived from 1895 to 1948, learning the game of baseball from Catholic brothers at his orphanage. At the age of 19, he was signed by the Boston Red Sox as a pitcher and soon became one of the best pitchers in baseball. People don't know that. Babe Ruth was one of the best pitchers. He still has records today. In 1920, he started with the New York Yankees. And I have heard for many years, what's the worst trade in the history of sports? Babe Ruth, 19-year-old pitcher, for $100,000 and a 35-year-old third baseman. That was not a good trade. Who was out of baseball the following season? That was not good. Of course, 100,000 is probably like 25 million today, but it was still a lousy deal. But he became one of the greatest hitters of all time. They drafted him, they took him as a pitcher, but they knew they wanted to make him a hitter. In fact, we have George Steinbrenner the fourth. George Steinbrenner was one of my best friends. He was tough. He was tough, but he was good. Where is George Steinbrenner the fourth? His grandson. He's here someplace. Where is he? Thank you very much. Would you say hello to the family? That's very nice that you're here. Please. George was a real piece of work, I have to tell you that. Your grandfather was very difficult, but he was good. He had a good heart. Sitting with George during the playoffs, as I often had to do, was like you'd go home exhausted. It was exhausting. So thank you for being here. Thank you very much. The Babe hit 714 home runs, a record that stood for nearly 40 years. And people often would say that was a somewhat dead ball. Didn't have the life the ball has today. He would often hit more home runs in a season than the league average for an entire team. and in one season hit more home runs than the entire American League. How do you do that? To this day, his career slugging percentage of .690 remains the highest in the history of baseball. Hard to believe, actually. The Babe was also known for his devotion to our nation and its children. He visited countless children in hospitals and orphanages, supported more than 100 charities, raised money and raised hell. He was, maybe that's why it's taken him a long time to get this award. This award should have been given to him a long time ago. I said, you mean Babe Ruth hasn't gotten it? We took care of that real fast. But he was incredible. But he raised a lot of money for the war effort during World War II. As we honor the legend who enshrined baseball as America's pastime, we are excited to be joined by a number of Babe Ruth's descendants, including his grandchildren, Donna Anilovich and Tom Stevens. And I want to thank you very much for being here. Please stand up, please. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tom. Our final Medal of Freedom, and here's another one who's just very incredible. Today goes to one of the most beloved artists and most enduring cultural icons that has ever lived. The king of rock and roll, the true king, and you have to say that, Elvis Aaron Presley.
Oh Lord, my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands have made.
That was Elvis. That was my idea. I said, give me a little song. That was, I guess, a little promotional ability, but I will tell you he was something special. I'd like to hear the rest of the song. I don't know why they cut it off so short. They have no promotional ability, that's why. Growing up from humble beginnings in Mississippi, Elvis lived from 1935 to 1977 and first rose to fame with the 1954 single, That's All Right, recorded at the fabled Sun Studios in Memphis, Tennessee. Great place. He soon skyrocketed to international stardom, recording over 3 decades of unforgettable hits, from Heartbreak Hotel to Suspicious Minds to Burning Love. Elvis also won 3 Grammys for his gospel recordings, which were incredible, including his soaring live performance at How Great Thou Art. Just got to hear a little piece of it. Deeply patriotic, Elvis served in the United States military at the height of his fame. He had a choice, and to him it wasn't a choice. Presley starred in more than 30 films, and his 1973 television special, Elvis Aloha from Hawaii, was viewed by more than 1 billion people around the world, one of the highest ever in the history of television. After redefining music in the 50s and redefining cinema in the 60s, the King, as he was known by everybody to this day, they call him the King, revolutionized live performances in the 1970s. From the moment Elvis walked on the stage to the closing chords of Can't Help Falling in Love, crowds were enraptured by Elvis's electric performances and unbreakable bond with his fans. In fact, at the end of a performance, oftentimes the fans would go so wild. I was there once in Las Vegas at the Hilton. The fans were ripping the place apart, screaming. They were going crazy. And they announced, Elvis has left the house. Elvis, if they didn't say that, I think I'd still be there. Maybe I wouldn't be here. But they had to do that. Elvis has gone. Elvis has left. Today, we're glad to be joined by President and CEO of Elvis Presley Enterprises, Jack Sawden. Jack, thank you very much. I want to congratulate all of this year's recipients, family members, and loved ones. America is blessed to have the most skill, passion, and talent anywhere on earth. We are truly a great nation, and we're a nation that is doing really, really well right now. We have our greatest economy ever. We have our greatest employment numbers ever. We're doing well, and we're proud to be doing so well. And I'd like to now ask the military aide to come forward and read the citations for each recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Thank you.
The Honorable Orrin G. Hatch. Senator Orrin Hatch is one of the longest-serving senators in American history, having represented Utah for more than 41 years. Currently, the Senate's president pro tempore and chairman of the Finance Committee, Senator Hatch has sponsored more bills that have become law than any other living member of Congress. He has led the way in confirming qualified judges throughout the federal judiciary in order to protect our constitutional order, and has championed religious liberty, fought against communism, and stood on the side of freedom around the world. Senator Hatch's dedication to the Senate, the country, and the rule of law has helped make our country what it is today, and for that we honor him. The Honorable Antonin Scalia. Antonin Scalia was one of the greatest Supreme Court justices in American history. Confirmed unanimously in 1986, Justice Scalia authored nearly 900 Supreme Court opinions. He was a champion of the Constitution, insisting that the role of federal judges is to uphold the original meaning of the Constitution, never to impose their own beliefs on the country. Justice Scalia's legal philosophy is rooted in America's founding principles, legal heritage, and constitutional obligations. He never backed down from the bedrock proposition that the Constitution means and will always mean what it meant when it was adopted. Justice Scalia's devotion to the rule of law has left a lasting legacy for our country, and we now honor this giant of the Supreme Court. Dr. Miriam Adelson. Miriam Adelson is a committed doctor, philanthropist, and humanitarian. She has practiced internal and emergency medicine, studied and specialized in the disease of narcotic addiction, and founded 2 research centers committed to fighting substance abuse. She and her husband Sheldon also established the Adelson Medical Research Foundation, which supports research to prevent, reduce, or eliminate disabling and life-threatening illness. As a committed member of the American Jewish community, she has supported Jewish schools, Holocaust memorial organizations, Friends of the Israel Defense Forces, and Birthright Israel, among other causes. The United States is proud to recognize Dr. Adelson for an incredible career and record of service to her community and the country. Roger Staubach. Hall of Fame quarterback Roger Staubach played 11 seasons in the National Football League, winning 2 Super Bowls with the Dallas Cowboys and making the Pro Bowl 6 times. He first made his mark on football at the United States Naval Academy, where he set 28 records and won the Heisman Trophy in 1963. Soon after graduating, Mr. Staubach volunteered to fight in the Vietnam War. Following his football career, he was a successful businessman and a champion for many charitable causes, including the United Way of America, the Children's Scholarship Fund, and Allies in Service, an organization devoted to supporting service members, veterans, and their spouses. The United States now honors Mr. Staubach's life of service and accomplishment on and off the field. The Honorable Alan C. Page. Justice Alan Page is an accomplished jurist, athlete, and philanthropist. After a successful college football career at the University of Notre Dame, he played 15 years in the National Football League with the Minnesota Vikings and Chicago Bears. He started in 4 Super Bowls, was named the NFL's most valuable player in 1971, and was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1988. While playing for the Vikings, he obtained his law degree and practiced law during the off-season. After retiring from the NFL in 1981, Justice Page practiced law full-time before winning a seat on the Minnesota Supreme Court in 1992. He served for more than 20 years. Since 1988, his Page Education Foundation has provided scholarships to nearly 7,000 students. The United States proudly recognizes Justice Page's athletic accomplishments and lifetime of public service and philanthropy. George Herman Babe Ruth, Jr. Babe Ruth played for 4 baseball teams between 1914 and 1935. He set records that stood for decades, including 714 home runs, 2,873 hits, 2,174 runs, and 2,062 walks, and he remains unmatched with a .690 slugging percentage. Over 15 legendary seasons, Babe Ruth led the Yankees to 7 American League championships and 4 World Series championships. His legacy has never been eclipsed, and he remains the personification of America's pastime. Off the baseball field, he created the Babe Ruth Foundation and tirelessly raised funds for the war effort during the Second World War. The United States proudly honors an American hero who forever changed the landscape of American sports. Elvis Aaron Presley. Elvis Presley defined American culture to billions of adoring fans around the world. The king of rock and roll, Elvis fused gospel, country, and rhythm and blues to create a sound all his own, selling more than 1 billion records. Elvis also served nearly 2 years in the United States Army, humbly accepting the call to serve despite his fame. He starred in 31 films, drew record-breaking audiences to his shows, sent television ratings soaring, and earned 14 Grammy Award nominations. He ultimately won 3 Grammy Awards for his gospel music. Decades after his passing, Elvis Presley remains an enduring and beloved American icon. The United States is proud to honor this American legend.
I just want to thank everybody. These are outstanding individuals, and we're so proud to have them represent us for so many years, and it's a great honor to have everybody with us. And on behalf of the First Lady, Melania, myself, thank you all for being here. This has been extraordinary. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated until the President, Mrs. Trump, and medalists have departed the East Room.
That was very nice.
Sir?